Wii Sports Resort has 25 different sports you can play. A lot of them have you go in for a high score, beat your opponent, take the fewest strokes, or travel around the island. There's one sport where the sole goal is to go as fast as possible. That is cycling. Cycling has two different game modes, road race and versus. Versus is just playing against a friend through a stage, where the game doesn't even track your times. Road race allows you and even a friend to race through 6 different stages against CPUs to complete each stage in the fastest possible time. You can race in an individual stage, split the stages into groups of 3, or put them all together in a 6-stage race. Ever since the launch of the game, runners from around the world have tried their best to take a single stage and 6-stage times down as low as possible. Only a handful of runners can say they've held the world record, and this is their story. This is the Wii Sports Resort Cycling World Record Progression.
The first video of cycling was of the third stage, posted on June 29th, 2009 from the YouTuber The BitBlock. Already one of the most important strategies is being shown off, spurting, or what we call speed boosting. When a player pedals harder, they get a speed boost which allows you to go faster. However, from the increased pedaling, this drains your stamina hearts faster as well. Once your hearts run out, your player turns blue, stops pedaling, and spends some time taking a drink to refill your hearts to halfway. Another way to refill your hearts is to draft behind other CPUs. Drafting behind a CPU will show a wind animation, and this gradually refills your stamina. The BitBlock ran out of stamina twice, which in total lost him 8 to 12 seconds. His final time was a 2:24.25, a 3-second improvement over his previous run. Other runners, like Nintendo World Report, Miko, and Sonic Pinhead would all post videos of cycling leading into the end of July before the first major runner came on the scene, Canada's Barrel-B. Barrel-B was already very good at Wii Sports Resort. He posted many videos on the game, anything from perfect games in bowling and secret strikes and bouncing off the barriers, to perfect combos in swordplay showdown individual levels, beating all the champions, and more. He turned his attention to cycling at the beginning of August and went on a tear through the 6 stages. He posted videos of each of the 1-stage races and both 3-stage races, all within a week. He took the Stage 1 record down 6 seconds, the Stage 3 record down 11 seconds, and posted records for the last 3 stages, clocking in at a 2:40.58, 2:53.98, and 3:13.50 respectively. And then finally, on August 7th, Barrel-B was the first person on record to do a 6-stage cycling run. Barrel-B started off Stage 1 doing speed boosts in about 2 to 4 second intervals. This allowed him to get a good consistent speed before needing to draft to regain stamina. Barrel-B stayed towards the middle of the course most of the time and likes to go up the hill in the center of the road. Barrel-B made sure to draft behind other CPUs to regain as much stamina as possible. On the latter half of the course, Barrel-B stayed about 2 hearts, keeping from running out of stamina. After a rough ending, he finished off the first stage in 79th place. That might sound bad, but it will actually help him later on. Drafting over the course of a 6-stage run is very important, especially in the later stages. So the further back you can finish, the better, as long as you don't slow down in the process. Stage 2 is pretty straightforward, with it being the shortest of the 6 stages. Barrel-B elects to go around the rocks on the 3rd turn, allowing him to dodge them and not get slowed down, while also drafting behind the other CPUs to conserve stamina. One of the CPUs got a little feisty while Barrel-B was getting on the beach, banging against his bike and boosting head and almost brake checking him. We'll get back to that later, but in the meantime, Barrel-B took a sharp turn on the large beach turn and boosted out of it to make as close of a turn as possible. However, the rock placement afterwards, which is thought to be random, was not kind to him, and Barrel-B hit 2 rocks in a row, losing him about 1.5 seconds. Barrel-B ended the Stage 2 in 59th. well on pace to have plenty of people to draft behind in the later stages. Let's take a little break from the run and go back to that CPU deal. It seems really strange for a CPU to be acting this way. Yeah, there's bumping into the runners and such, but very actively trying to slow the runner down. This isn't random CPU behavior at all. This is actually a game mechanic. First, we should probably discuss how CPUs are coded to function in cycling. The game simulates lap times for each CPUs, and then positions accordingly based to your skill level at the start of the race, as the chart shows here. For example, in a Stage 1 race, first place will begin 15% through the stage. In a Stage 3 race, they will begin 25% of the way through the first stage. CPUs in higher positions also have faster speeds. Every CPU bike is set to a specific set of lanes at the start of the race. The CPUs will only change their lane if the current run they're riding in is blocked by, say, another CPU or the player. CPUs will speed boost when they are close to the finish line, they are beside the player character, or other CPUs are also speed boosting around them. Once they speed boost, the CPUs are on a timer for when they can speed boost again. There's also a special type of CPU called a stalker. Stalker CPUs will act more aggressively towards the player, which is what we saw in the clip for Bartleby. A CPU near the player can turn into a stalker, and there will always be one stalker CPU present during the race at any given time. Stalkers will go away if you slow down for some reason. Whether it's the player doesn't pedal, you fall into the water, or lose all your stamina. There are different behaviors for stalkers when they are in front of you or behind you. Stalkers in front will attempt to keep up with you, and then once they get in front of you, slow down, similar to what we saw with Bartleby. Once they are in front of you, they will not speed boost. Stalkers who are behind you will use you as a way to draft and then speed boost in front of you, turning into a stalker in front of you. Bartleby started Stage 3 a little wobbly and stayed right along the path heading into Heartbreak Peak. He got up a little slow, taking time to draft behind CPUs to not run out of stamina, even if that costed him some speed. He came into the turn onto the bridge a little too hard, ramming into the wall and losing a second or so. He finished Stage 3 in 42nd. Again, really good pace. His biggest downfall was how much stamina he saved in the forest section, and probably if he speed boosted better, could have grabbed another 3 to 5 seconds. Stage 4 has a giant drop-off Talon rock, which, if you land well, won't lose time. However, Bartleby landed almost sideways and jerked the bicycle to the right, costing him a bit of time to correct his direction. He had a little issue on the turn after the tunnel. Bartleby was just at the wrong angle on the turn, and the wind pushed him across the road rather than just letting him make a smooth, sharp turn. It took him a few seconds or so to swerve left and right to get his direction back. His Stage 4 finished in 21st place. Still really good. Bartleby had several CPUs to draft behind, getting up the bridge on Stage 5. However, on the way down, he started to drift back and forth, bouncing off some CPUs and losing some time. Outside of a brisk turn to barely dodge a rock, he kept pretty well on the path. Then Bartleby made his first major mistake of the run. He fell in the water. At several points on each stage, there's a spot where if you go off the edge, you will fall in the water. This responds you with 50% stamina, but visually 3 hearts, at the last checkpoint you pass. This sounds like it could be a good thing. However, falling off, the little animation it plays when you fall off, and the respawn at 0 speed loses on average 3 to 5 seconds if you immediately boost back to top speed. This was even worse for Bartleby, as he fell off at a specific spot on Stage 5 where you could come to a complete stop on the rock ledge to fall. Take another 2 seconds or so with the fall. Bartleby quickly used up a lot of stamina to make it back to the ground he lost heading into the cave system, and then it happened again. Bartleby took the turn off the bridge too early, and he didn't have enough speed built up, fell right into the water. This lost another 3 to 5 seconds, and on top of that, he was coming up to the most stamina-draining part of the stage, the climb all the way up the hill. So he couldn't boost that much to catch up without running the risk of using up so much stamina he had run out on the top of the hill, which was worse than falling in the water. Bartleby limped his way up the hill to the finish line, and by far the worst stage in the run so far. The good news is he was in 8th place, so you'd have plenty of CPUs to draft behind in Stage 6. Stage 6 starts with a half-minute climb up to the top of the volcano entrance. Bartleby did a great job keeping his stamina, drafting behind CPUs to get up there in a good time, outside of smacking the entrance to the volcano on the top from another sharp turn. He did a great job keeping stamina in the volcano, drafting behind more CPUs to start the descent down the hill. Bartleby found himself in 2nd place, and kept his position by doing several speed boosts. Finally, after the turn around the castle, 1st place CPU was in sight. He had to make a delicate balance between boosting to get closer and conserving his already low stamina from all the boosting he did down the volcano. He hit a rock that slowed him down a little bit but retained second place, as prior to the turn, he knocked off the third place CPU. He finally caught up to first place, drafting behind to gain the lost stamina, and took first place heading into the second downwards hill. Bartleby hit the right side of another rock, which at the downward speed knocked him into the right and into the rock wall and back to the path, losing some time and the lead for a moment. He got the lead back heading into the cave system. Bartleby kept his cool in the cave, speed boosting against another sharp turn off the bridge which could have ended in disaster without the speed he had. He dodged rocks, a banana, made great turns, and with plenty of stamina, made his way to the finish line in first place. The first 6-stage run for Bartleby, first place, and the first 6-stage world record. The game hadn't even been out in North America for 2 weeks, and Bartleby set the bar high with a 15:25.97. The run was far from perfect, but it was good enough time that would put him in the top 60 runners to this day over 11 years later. The only runner who posted a cycling video was the MP Kev, beating Bartleby's stage 1 time with a 2:22.95, and a forum post on NeoSeeker by the user Nixo33 getting a 15:31.29. That is where cycling stood, leaving the first full month of the game's release. Or maybe not. Wii Records is weird. Wii Records was the hub for Wii Sports Resort scores back in the day, and cycling was no exception. However, the site was lost and we can only see it thanks to Wayback Machine, which is also busted, so we only know the general dates for when the website snapshot was saved. There were only 5 runners with a 6-stage cycling time on the board at the time of the snapshot, which was September 12, 2009. Josh 6, Unrivaled, Turdkill, Marco, whose time beats Bartleby by less than a second, and our friend, the MP Kev, with a time far above anyone else, 15:10.57. The MP Kev, also known as Kevin, was a speedrunner of several games. He did several Mario Party minigame speedruns, could pull off tricks in SM64, and by far mostly what he did was Mario Kart Wii. Kev did anything from time trials to online matches to even team races and leagues. In September of 2009, he focused a little bit on cycling. Kev had a different approach to cycling than Bartleby did. As Kev said, cycling worked with little boosts, so in my opinion, very difficult in cycling to find good speed balance between rest and boost. You need to have good feeling of the way of playing. This translated to quicker boosts, which meant longer time conserving stamina through the races. Kev related cycling more to Mario Kart Wii on how he took turns. Thought of it like straight lines to the next corner, as in Mario Kart Wii you lose speed when making turns. This was different than sharp turns Bartleby did. He also mentioned in hindsight, he should have drafted more than he did back in the day. Kev's time was a large jump from the 15:25 that Bartleby had set the month prior. Kev's time was really good, and it holds up to top 30 to this day. It also still leaves Bartleby with the only one with video proof. Over the next few months, several other runners would put their hat in the ring of 6-stage races, including Barthax, a pretty well-known score attack runner on Twin Galaxies. This led to one runner, Kevin Lucario Cummer, on the site Cyberscore, also known as VGR Yoshi on Wii Records, to go on a tear and breaking every single one-stage record throughout the month of December. They ended their runs on December 28th, posting a 15:12.54 6-stage time. No video proof, but all picture proof. This would wrap up 2009, giving Luxembourg's the MP Kev and Canada's Lucario with the top 2 spots in known records, but Bartleby was still the only person to record a full 6-stage run. 2010 only saw a handful of runners try out 6-stage. The most known runner out of this group was Pack Attack, known for his dominance in anything score-related. Pack Attack didn't have video proof on his 6-stage time for some reason, but clocked in at a 15:17.27 in February. We can tell by his single-stage times, which he did record, that he seemed to be very good at the game, and all 3 of those times were not even a second off Lucario's world records. Pack Attack used strats very similar to the MP Kev, where you use up a lot of stamina off the bat and spend more time at 0 to 1 hearts. The other major runner from 2010 was Yoshi24 Kobe. Now if you've heard that name before, it's probably because Yoshi Kobe is one of the best Cyberscore runners, boasting over 2,500 records on the site. He's ranked 5th all-time in standard scored leaderboard and 21st out of everyone in the world through the entire website, right up there with Pack Attack. Yoshi Kobe got a 15:12.65 that same year. 2011 saw a few runners post some pretty good times. On Video Game Score and Cyberscore, user Dijon posted a picture in the beginning of March. Just a few weeks later on Cyberscore, user J Old Dad Stone posted a 15:05.04. No picture, no video proof, nothing say that run was real. This run has remained unverified still to this day, and the last major runner of 2011 was also the closest person to beat Bartleby's video world record. His name was Wee and just a day after Old Dad posted their run to Cyberscore, Wee posted a 15:28:81 onto YouTube with live commentary.
For cycling here, you just have to wave your wheel on a nunchuck at the right time. You have to wave it in rhythm, and you have to wave it a little fast enough to get a little turbo here, like I just did. But watch out for your breath on the top left. You have 3 hearts up here. If you ran out of 3 hearts, you're gonna be stopped there for a moment, and you'll be out of breath.
However, you can see in that video he had a 15:21:47 on his Wii. Wee had a harder time in the beginning getting consistent speed boosts, but it got better throughout the stages. It was overall slower time, but the closest anyone had gotten to Bartleby's time at that point on video. 2012 saw some more activity in 6th stage. Unrivaled came back to beat their time, while new runners like Value and Marchow posted times to Cyberscore, but neither were close to Bartleby or the MP Kev. The only runner who came close to Bartleby, similar to Wee was a YouTuber who recorded time was slower than Bartleby, but had a faster time on his Wii. The runner's name was Adrian. He clocked in a 15:28:88 on July 28th. However, his Wii showed a 15:19:36. That made 2 runners with video proof of a time faster than Bartleby. Which one of the 2 would be the first to do another video, this time beating Bartleby? That answer was neither. 2013 saw the rise of a new runner. Similar to the previous 3 years, a handful of runners took their shot at 6th stage cycling in 2013, but none of them would be as successful as the Netherlands' Dan Gaming. Dan was another Mario Kart Wii runner, and on May 23, 2013, they clocked in a 15:21:02, besting Bartleby by 4 seconds. Dan did a few things to give him an advantage. The first thing was consistently ending each stage at 0 hearts, so using his stamina more efficiently. Dan had a better turn onto the bridge in Stage 3, and had a better landing off the drop in Stage 4. He didn't fall in the water on Stage 5, but he was well in first place heading up the hill, costing him time to conserve stamina. This led to a slow Stage 6, as Dan couldn't draft with anyone whatsoever. But still thanks to a way better Stage 5, Dan took the record. Bartleby's record stood for 4 years, which would be the longest a record would stand. 2013 wrapped up with the runner Dark Silver 97. Dark Silver was a Super Mario 3D Land and Mario Kart 7 IL runner, and improved the Stage 1, 2, and 6 world records, and posted the first sub-2 Stage 2 time of a 1:59:68. Dark Silver also had a 15:2x 6 stage, though he didn't care to post it anywhere, as it wasn't good as some of the other runners. 2014 only saw 2 runners post times, and that leads us into 2015, I guess. Wii Records is still weird. The last snapshot of the cycling leaderboards was around March 23, 2015. There are a lot more records on the board, though most of them not mattering too much. However, there are a handful that have picture proof of beating the MP Kev's 15:10. These runners include Roadrunner 2020, Wonix Toast, JJ Legend, Pokemon 101090, Papa Trice, Neil864, and Shadow6812. We now know, thanks to Dark Silver's Stage 2 world record in 2013, that Papa Trice and Neil864 both did at least their Stage 2 runs back then, which hopefully correlates to a more exact time that these runners did their runs. Any attempts to locate any of these runners outside of Wii Records has ended up in dead ends. Based on times, Roadrunner and Juan seem to be very good runners at the game, getting solid times. JJ Legend and Pokemon both were some of the best runners in the world, with Pokemon having the Stage 1 world record of a 2:17:86, and JJ Legend having an amazing 6-stage time, also being high up on the Wii Records score leaderboard. The cream of the crop was Papa Trice, a runner from France who had a picture of the first sub-15, clocking in at a 14:58:21. There are only 6 people in the world today who have proof of a sub-15. But wait, what about Neil and Shadow? Both of these runs on a community consensus are deemed illegitimate. In the terms of Shadow, a 14:26 is not possible without the use of cheats to have unlimited stamina. This makes sense for Shadow's run, as it matches a beginner's run using unlimited stamina. The tricky one here is Neil. Neil's time is crazy good, and if you look at all their single stage records, they are the best of the best and line up with the world record to this day. But stage 5. Somehow, somewhere, Neil randomly saved 6 seconds over the fastest stage 5 known to anyone. To this day, no one can figure out how this 6-second time save came about. If it was found, it would certainly legitimize Neil's run, blow up a wide open hole in the 6th stage scene. Till then, it is all but a dream of a run that may or may not exist. 2016 came, and a familiar face returned to the cycling scene. Adrian was back, and after a long time making different YouTube content, including some Mario Kart Wii League content similar to the MP Kev, he returned back to cycling. On June 28, 2016, Adrian posted a 15:10:07 with video. This beat the previous video run from Dan by over 11 seconds. For the first time in any of this, the USA had some sort of world record. Adrian did a very solid job in his run, opting to go for sharp turns and a better racing line over drafting as much. He did a good job keeping his stamina last till the very end efficiently. And the only real issue was similar to Dan, Adrian was already in first place heading up the long hill on stage 5, so he lost some time conserving stamina and not being able to draft off anyone. That, a slow ascent up the first hill in stage 6, led to whacking the volcano entrance like Bartleby did in his run. Adrian also ran over 2 rocks on the way down the volcano, costing some time and making his stage 6 by far the worst out of the 6. But that didn't matter. The world record had been beat and it was Adrian's to have. To this day, it is still one of the best runs ever posted, clocking similarly to the MP Kev as a top 30 run. This is where the record stood coming into the end of the summer of 2016. Adrian had jumped everyone that posted a video and no one came remotely close to the 15:10. And however you look at it, Papa Tri stood as the only one with a reasonable sub-15 time. That August things would change, as cycling became a category on speedrun.com. This is Bandow 2000. He is a top-level Diddy Kong racing runner who also takes part in the 1545 Relay, a speedrunning event with 100% runs of many of the most popular and best speedruns in the world. Bandow's catalog of runs include Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, Super Mario Sunshine, Super Mario 64, Super Mario Odyssey, Banjo-Kazooie, and many more. But Bandow is also pretty important to the Wii Series community, as he's the server owner of the Wii Series speedrunning Discord, with him and Plight823 being the only 2 admins of an over 700-person server. Bandow has been around the Wii Sports Resort scene since 2016, and after working on the All Sports category, Bandow took his hand in a forum post suggesting 6-stage cycling to be added.
So, what I remembered from Wii Sports Resort, the one thing that I was really good at was cycling. And I beat all my family back when I was a kid. And when I was running All Sports, I was like, has no one done cycling yet? Like 6-stage. Back then, I called it all cycling tracks at the time. Because obviously referring to Diddy Kong Racing all trophy races, as it's called there. So I did a run, and that's why I did it, basically.
Bandow's first run of cycling was more a focus on what strats you can do for cycling and how good of a speedrun cycling can be. It just so happened he got a 15:27 in-game time and an 18:27 RTA. In a community where the likes of Bartleby, Dan, and Adrian didn't exist, it was revolutionary.
I think if you actually look at my run, the very, very first one that I did, it is just explaining everything that I was doing, and it was flipping revolutionary from what I heard. So at that time, basically, because no one else knew what my strats were, I was very, very good at it at that time.
Bandow mainly focused on not running out of breath, and then also relating it back to Diddy Kong racing lines.
Oh my gosh, it doesn't all that much. Physics in cycling is so much more different to Diddy Kong Racing, so it doesn't exactly come over, but lines came through and I was able to just do my own lines really throughout the whole run. I think at the start of when I was doing it, I focused more on not running out of breath, and I know that is a major time loss. So I knew if I ran out of breath at any time, I'm going to lose quite a bit of time. So I made sure I didn't run out of breath. And there are a few ways you can actually regain your breath, which is the heart. That's the stamina system. There's a few ways. There's drafting behind another behind another character. There's just being out on your own, just having a breather, stopping your cycling a little bit. And then, there's running out of breath and taking a sip of water, and then your breath comes back, but that takes a long time. So you don't really want to be doing that.
Bandow balanced a lot during his run, but what always came up as a worry was stage 5.
I think the 5th stage is one I really absolutely was scared about because that's the one I've run out of breath on. I think not the very last one, as I was a bit more confident in not being able to lose breath. But it's the 5th one because you go up the mountain basically, and you're almost at the very, very top. There's only like a little bit more of the hill before the very top.
Speedrun.com handled things a little different at the time. Speedruns were ranked not just based on in-game time, but also RTA, so the menuing and loads between the actual races would count towards the RTA time. So in the speedrun world, Bandow opened up the door to cycling and held the record for the next 4 months, with no one contesting him. Then the next runner in the SRC world came onto the scene. Enter... yeah, that guy. Right now, I'm known for a lot of things in the speedrunning community. I was a very active marathon runner, taking part in marathons like Midwest Speedfest, Pixels for Peace, European Speedrunners Assembly, and many, many others, and even helping start Resort Fest International, a speedrunning event created with people from the Wii Series community. But this is 2016. I'm a college freshman down in Kansas City, and my focus on the time was Pokemon Draft Leagues and doing stuff for the XAMK Clan channel as a player and editor. I've been speedrunning maybe a month thanks to the runs like Super Smash Bros., Brawl, Subspace, and Misfairy. Cycling was my favorite sport growing up, and I had already posted 2 4-person point of view videos on, at the time, my 4-year-old YouTube channel. Once in November of 2013 and one in June of 2016. After running other speedruns and finding the speedrun board for Wii Sports Resort, it made sense that when I saw a cycling category, I was going to go for it. And I was going to grind however long it would take to do it. But it turns out, I only needed 1 try. The only video I'd ever watched on cycling was Bandow's world record. So I watched it, learned about speed boosting for the first time, and grinded my way to unlock 6th stage on my cousin's Wii, as mine had just broke not even a month before. The goal was to just finish each stage without losing all my stamina. I didn't know the best racing lines at all, and I was very conservative in my stamina usage. I finished my first run. For speedrun.com, that was an in-game time world record. And for RTA, that was a flat-out world record. Those were the records stood, at least on speedrun.com, out of 2016. 2017 saw far more runners doing runs for fun. Cyberscore saw the return of Yoshi Kobe, getting world records on different IL stages, and several other Cyberscore records. On other sites, 2 runs stood out. The first was Bandow's 2nd cycling run, a 15:16:89 with an 18:14 RTA world record, which he achieved on February 1st, 2017. Bandow didn't do much different compared to his previous run, or my run for that matter. Just better racing lines, used up more stamina, and did a better job regaining stamina quicker. And then in June of that year, a Japanese runner came out of nowhere and beat Adrian. This is QFRYC 322, and they posted a 15:07:49 on June 5th, 2017. Q didn't do much different compared to Adrian, just a better stage 2 and stage 5. The only downfall came to an abnormally slow stage 6, which seemed to come from a really bad climb up the first hill. However, they didn't submit this run to speedrun.com, just uploaded it to YouTube. They didn't talk about it in the community Discord. They didn't even join the community Discord.
Nothing. It was unnoticed by the speedrunning community till June of 2020. Furthermore, it was an in-game time world record, and not an RTA world record that speedrun.com was focused on at the time. QFRYC's record stood well over a year, but in the meantime, the speedrun.com scene was picking up. 2018 saw an explosion of runners play the category. This wasn't because anyone big was running cycling, but more so the fact that the speedrunning legend Darbian did speedruns of golf, which flooded the Wii Sports Resort speedrunning scene. There were tons of new runners, and old runners coming back to improve their runs. I improved to a 15:16.94 on February 14th. This was 5/100ths of a second slower than Bandow's in game time, but ended up being about 2 seconds faster RTA-wise. So I had the RTA world record again, right? Well, that'd be true if Bandow's run wasn't beat a couple hours prior by a new runner, Triple T. Triple jumps in and out of the community a lot. He is known for cycling, a previous blindfolded all sports world record holder, a really good bingo runner, placing second place in the 2019 Wii Sports Resort Bingo Tournament. Triple shaved off almost 6 full seconds on Bandow's record, clocking in at a 15:10.98 in-game time and an 18:09.76 RTA. Outside of a lackluster stage 1, everything else was better than Bandow's previous run. Triple took the record February 14th and held on to it for a while. No one got close. Bandow and myself turned our focus to stage ILs. I went and beat the stage 1, 2, and 3 world records, and Bandow bested me on the second stage days later. Triple would take the speedrun.com and RTA world record into the summer with no one challenging him. 2 new runners came on the scene by the name of Mr. Jimmy Steele 25 and Deku Boy. Mr. Jimmy Steele was a Wii Series veteran, boasting a previous Wii Sports All Sports world record and some Wii Play All Games and All Games New Game Plus world records, and came to cycling and dropped an RTA world record of an 18:09.54 on August 16th. The in-game time for his run was a 15:12.26. Deku Boy was a Cyberscore user who had been battling out with Yoshiko for some time, before heading to speedrun.com to claim some quick world records and dropping a 15:12.23 six-stage run, which was an RTA world record of an 18:08.5 on September 9th, 2018. It's crazy to think that 2 runners were now faster RTA-wise than Triple, but slower in-game time. Triple brought up the question on everyone's mind at this time. Why is cycling measured in RTA and not in-game time? It was across the board agreed by even Deku himself that in-game time was the way to go, and from that day forward, the speedrun.com leaderboard would switch to in-game time only. With the swap to in-game time, who was going to be the first to capitalize? Would Deku go from RTA world record to in-game time world record? Would Jimmy take it? Would Bandow make a return? It took till September 28th, and I would be one to capitalize, getting a 15:10.69 in-game time. This gave me the speedrun.com world record, but QFRYC322 still had the best time, though none of us knew. Unless Deku Boy would come in, it looked like the speedrun.com world, no one would beat the 15:10.69. Then a new runner came into the scene. Enter Luna Pogi. Luna Pogi came out of nowhere with a video of a 15:03.32 on November 24th, 2018. Luna's run and Q's run are very similar, with the exception of Luna fixing Q's bad stage 6 first hill climb and did stage 6 generally very well, getting the 4 seconds of time save almost solely there.
Oh my gosh, look at that. Look at all of these guys. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! That's a lot of people. That's a lot of damage that people are gonna fix. Oh my gosh! I bumped into the cliff. Wow! Look at me! I'm like the fastest person in the world. Faster than Usain Bolt.
Luna submitted their run and left town. That ended out 2018. No one was going for top times. However, things would change in 1 week in June of 2019. June 20th, getting the all categories world record. Okay everyone, form up! Smile for the camera. Fuck the Alaska and Simrax. 2 days later was Resort Fest Wii for All, a speedrunning marathon of Wii Series games, boasting several marathon world records.
a bingo all stamps world record by 45 minutes. There we go. So in time will be once the stamp appears, first of many. That's sub 2 again. There we go. An all sports marathon world record and a 4-person race. Okay.
I'm pretty sure I'm gonna sub 18.
I'm pretty sure this is marathon world record by a long shot.
Honestly, just stop flexing.
2 days later, in an all-sports race, a 1:58.83 to the beach, a stage 2 world record. Hey, guess what I just got? The cycling world record. That was a 1:58.83. Hey, Jack. That led to June 25th, 2019. First run of the day. Is better than that was, so far we're ahead. So that should have been a stage A PB. 438. That was really good. That was super good. That's about the best I could probably do. Yes! Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Oh, that makes me happy. After 30 months of running, hundreds of runs, I held the world record, both on speedrun.com and everywhere else. There were some major changes and updates to the run by that point. All of these points will be elaborated on more later. The first change, which at the time was unintentional, was switching the Wii settings from 480p to 480i, or HDTV to SDTV. The next most notable was deliberate race routing on stage 1 to take the shortest path on the track after the tunnel, which was one of the many optimizations Deku highlighted the importance of when he started his runs. Next was taking a shortcut on the hill to the left to climb up the hill faster before the tunnel on stage 1. This was discovered to be faster by Elin BB all the way back in 2011, but not implemented till later on. Deku had a race routing strat on stage 3 to make this cut go over the hill before Heartbreak Peak. Triple showed off the importance of a little riskier strat, cutting to the right of this rock to make the turn not only go tighter, but give a little boost from the steep hill rolling down on stage 3. A strat lost the time was on stage 4, taking the reverse of the stage 1 shortcut that was found in 2011. It is faster, but was dropped from runs later until Bender's RS picked it up when doing stage 4 ILs. It is a little risky, and that turn is the hardest to pull off on stage 4 thanks to the wind. I had the luxury of having several people to draft behind going up the hill on stage 5, and at the end of the day, it was the world record. To outside viewers, it seemed so disappointing for it not being a sub 15, but to me, that didn't matter. I had the cycling world record, and I clearly was excited about it. Several other runners would come. Deku even got a new PB, but no one on speedrun.com got close. User Wavy on Cyberscore would get close, with a picture of a 15.66, and that's where the record stood. At least until September. If we've learned anything in this, new runners will always come from nowhere. So it had been a decade since the game came out, and 6-stage cycling was 5 frames away from having a recorded sub 15 in game time. It had been building up to this since Barlow B all the way back in August of 2009 getting a 15:25.97. Dan taking the record down over 4 seconds March 23rd of 2013. Adrian coming back in 2016 to lower the record the most it had ever been, a full 11 seconds to a 15:10.07 on June 28th, 2016. QFRYC322 coming out of nowhere, dropping the record 3 seconds the next year. Luna Pogi coming in to swipe the record by another 4 seconds in November of 2018. And last, a 15.14, 5 frames away from sub 15, on the 10-year anniversary of the game. How long would we wait for the first recorded sub 15? It took less than 3 months and spawned the rise of one of the greatest Wii Series players of all time. Enter Murasaki.